All right, hello everyone. Stephen Dominic asked me to give you some tips that will help you to assemble and put together your compositions for his photography alphabet assignment. So I'm just going to give you a quick walkthrough I will approach this assignment. All right, so let's suppose that you have already shot the different images that you're going to use to represent the characters of your name. In this case, I'm not doing the assignment, so I'm just using some generic images. They are raw images. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first open them in Photoshop through Camera Raw using Bridge. And then I'm going to set the dimensions for each individual image. Then I'm going to create a canvas container with the specifications that Stephen gave you for the assignment. And then I'm going to show you how to rearrange them in the proper order. Okay, so what I will do, I will launch Bridge once I have the images shot, and I'm going to navigate already did in my system where I have those different images stored, and then I'm going to open each of them individually. I'm going to go select the first one, and then you can choose the open in Camera Raw, or you can double click. Since they are raw images, they are going to go to Camera Raw first before you can open them in Photoshop. So I'm just going to select this icon to open them in Camera Raw through Bridge. The first one. So once that image opens in Camera Raw, let me just set this full screen. Then what I need to do is I'm not going to do anything in this image at this point in Camera Raw, any adjustments or anything. I'm just going to open that particular image in Photoshop by clicking on the open icon. So now it is in Photoshop. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to resize this image according to the specification of the assignments, the individual letters, and the full composition must be an 8-inch height. And it has to be 175 ppi resolution. So as you remember, and I explained in the cropping session of this course, the easiest way is to use the crop tool, and then just select here width, height, and resolution from the menu. Make sure that you enter the proper dimensions and resolution. So for the width, I'm going to enter the height, which is the one that I'm most interested first. So that'll be 8. And I'm going to type IN for inches. And I know a 175 resolution. And let's try 8 by 4 or 8 by 5 width. And remember, it has to be inches for this to work. So now if I define the height at 8 inches, the width at 5 inches, and the resolution, it doesn't matter how I use my crop tool, the end result is always going to be an image of this specification. So I'm just going to crop it a little bit. Let's suppose I just want to take the tip and then reposition the image so it's center. Right? And then let's suppose this is the area that I want to crop for that particular assignment. I click my check mark, and then you can tell that this image, if you check the dimensions on the image size menu here, it is an image of the exact dimensions that I want. I want it to be 8 inches high by 5 inches wide and 175 pixels. Okay, I'm just going to keep that. And let me just go back to the Move tool. I'm going to save this image. I'm going to go File, Save As. And if you go, I'm going to save it as a, I'm going to keep it as a Photoshop file for now. I'm going to select the location. So I'm going to create a new folder. In there, I'm going to call that Final Crop. And open that Final Crop folder and save this. This is, I'm going to call this 1. So that's going to be my first character. Call it 1. And for now, I'm going to keep it as a Photoshop file. All right, so let's go back to Bridge. I'm going to open the second image. And then I'm going to, you can just double click since it's a raw file, or you can go to open in Camera Raw. It doesn't matter, it's going to do the same thing as long as you open that on Bridge. I'm going to double click that, and that should launch Bridge and display. Oh, let's go here. Oops. All right, so my second image open. Now again, in Camera Raw, I'm just going to go again directly and turn that over to Photoshop to do my crop work. I go click on the open icon here. That opens that second image in Photoshop. And I'll just do the same thing. I'll select my crop tool. As soon as Photoshop reacts here. Oops. Let's go open. Okay. All right, so my second image is now in Photoshop. Let's again go to the crop tool. Photoshop should remember the same settings that I had before, 5 inches by 8 inches by 175 in my crop tool. Again, I can just resize to capture the area of the image that I want to use for my assignment. Let's suppose I just want to use this central area, and then I click the checkbox. So that has been cropped to the proper dimensions. I'm going to save this again in that same folder that I created, this Final Crop. And I'm going to call this 02. So that's going to be the second character. And save. Okay, so as you can see, you need to go through each of the images that you have in Bridge and do the cropping. I have 3 more to go. I'm going to do that. I'm going to stop the demo for now here so I can do this same repetitive work with these 3 remaining images, and I'm going to save them in the Final Crop. All right, so I just finished cropping the images in the way that I show you using the crop tool in Photoshop with the right dimensions and resolutions, and I store these Photoshop versions inside this Final Crop folder with the dimension I want. Remember, I created the images to be 8 inches high by 5 inches wide, and then they are all 175 pixels per inch resolution. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into Photoshop once again, and I'm going to create a canvas that allows me to arrange these images, each supposed character, into the right order. And I'm going to create a canvas with the dimensions and resolution that is required for this assignment. So let's just go into Photoshop. Once again, I'm going to close hold this for now. So we start with a clean interface here. So I'm going to create a new document in Photoshop. Just bring the new document dialog box in here. I'm going to go to the Photo tab here, and I'm going to start with a default Photoshop size type of document, and then I'm going to just customize my dimensions and resolution here. So I know that I want the canvas to contain my images to be 8 inches high. In my particular case, if you remember, I have only 5 images, and I know each one of these images is 5 inches wide. So let's just go back into Photoshop and set up the proper width. So 8 times 5 will be, no, I'm sorry, 5 times 5 will be 25, because each one of the individual images is 5 inches wide. So I have 5 of them. 5 times 5 is 25 inches wide, 8 inches high, and then I need to just adjust the resolution to match the requirements of the assignment, which is 175 ppi. Okay, so that's going to create a new document. I can name this document here, and I'm going to call this alphabet 1, because I believe you have to create 2 versions. So I'm going to create this alphabet 1 document, and I'm just going to just clear the canvas settings here that I put for my cropping work. I'm going to go back to the move tool and then go back. So that clears all that. So I have my empty canvas here. So what I need to do is start bringing the individual images one by one and start adding them into this canvas. So let's go and open. I just can now go in Photoshop and then just choose open, navigate to that final crop folder where I have my individual images, and then I'm going to start with this one PSD, open that image. Okay, I can use my arrange window, arrange screen here. So I'm going to tile them horizontally. Oh, actually, let me tile them vertically. Arrange tile vertically. No, actually, horizontally kind of work in this case. Let me get rid of the rulers so I have more space to see. Let me just zoom out so I can see the entire image here, and then again zoom out here so I can see my entire canvas. And then the only thing I need to do is to start bringing each of the images inside. Let's suppose this is my first character. I'm gonna you can just drag the layer or drag the image, doesn't matter, with the move tool. And then if you hold down the shift key, it will land perfectly aligned in the center of your canvas. And then you can just move them to the right locations. If this is my first character, I'm just going to drag that. If you hold on the shift key, allows you to keep the alignment and snap to the start of the document. So let's suppose this is my first character. I can now close this image and then bring my second character. So let's go File, Open. It's in that same folder. I name them in sequence. So supposedly I know which one goes next. So I'm going to go and open this one. Again, I can tile them horizontally. Let's zoom out. And then I can bring the next image. Remember, if you hold on the shift key as you drag and then drop, then it lands perfectly centered, right? So then you can just move this around in any way you want. If you hold on the shift key once again, then it allows you to snap to whatever location. Right? So that will be my second character. And then we can just keep doing this with the remaining images. Close this one. Let's go File, Open. image number 3, which is supposedly my third character. Let's style them horizontally. This feature is particularly useful if you only have one monitor, right? So that way you can rearrange your screen to maximize the use of your screen. So I'm just going to do this, zoom out so you can see my entire image, drag with the move tool to my proper canvas, holding down the shift key and release first the cursor and then the shift key, so that allows me to land it. Notice that each image, as you do this, is landing in its own separate layer, which is a good thing because that allows you to move around just individual elements in individual images without disturbing your other characters. Okay? For this to work, I usually deselect this auto select option in the move tool, because that way, I can just simply select the layer that I want to move and then work in that layer. So for example, if we want to rearrange the second layer that contains my second character, and for some reason I want to put them on this side, by selecting this layer and having the auto select unchecked, I can click anywhere and notice that the image, the layer that is affected is that layer that I have selected in my layers panel. So I'm going to hold on the shift key and then drag this. Suppose this is how I want to arrange this character. All right, so let's close this one here. Let's open the next one, which will be number 4. Let's use the arrange option so I can view the tile horizontally, so I can have a better understanding of what I'm doing with these layers. Let's bring that, I'm going to put that in this spot, holding down the shift key. It will land. Notice that it landed down here below this, so it's right underneath this layer, so I can bring that layer up if I want to see it, and then just position that where it really goes. And then let me find the final image file. Let me just close this just to clean up my screen a little bit. And let's just file open this last image in my sequence, which contains my last character in my name, and then use window, arrange that horizontally. I can zoom out. I'm using Control minus to zoom out so I can see the entire document. And then same technique, just bring that over here, hold on the shift key so you take advantage of that alignment automatic that you get in there. Again, hold down the shift key. It's a great keyboard shortcut that allows you to control the positioning of your element. All right. Okay, so let's suppose this is what I wanted to create as far as the composition. It is now a Photoshop document. So if I, before I do anything else, I just want to make sure that it complies with the dimension requirements. So if I'm going to do, the best way to do that is just to go to the image menu and choose image size. Make sure that the images, dimensions are set to inches, because that's the requirement, that you have 8 inches height and whatever length you need to fit as many characters as you need, and that the resolution is the correct resolution required in the assignment, which is 175. I'm going to click OK. All right, so now what I need to create is this first flattened version of my alphabet composition. So if I go to File and do Save As, since this is a Photoshop document, notice that you have limited options here of how you can save this document as Photoshop, large document format, Photoshop PDF, or TIFF file. In this case, we want to create JPEGs. So there are 2 ways to do that. The easiest way is to just go File and choose, instead of Save As, you can choose Save a Copy. And that only happens with Photoshop files, right? So if you go to Save a Copy, then you're going to be presented with a whole bunch of other options. That includes JPEG. So that's the easiest way to do. So let's go to File, Save As, choose JPEG. By doing that, this will automatically flatten your document. Everything going to be in a single layer. And let's just call this alphabet 1. This is going to be JPEG. And then it's in the same folder. You can navigate if you want to save it somewhere else. I'm going to put it in the same folder where I have my individual characters. So I'm going to save this. And Photoshop is going to ask me the JPEG options. I'm going to choose the maximum quality. That doesn't affect resolution or dimensions, just using the better algorithm that loses less information when you compress that as a JPEG. So I'm going to click OK. All right, so let's go and check. Notice that you still have open here your Photoshop file, but we save a copy of this document as a, oops, let me just find this. Well, we can open that in Bridge, show you that in Bridge. Now we have this alphabet JPEG. Right. So if we go, we can check this here. You can check in Bridge the dimensions and resolution and everything. Let me just open that in Photoshop. You can double click that and it should open in Photoshop. Okay, so this is the JPEG now in Photoshop. This is the Photoshop file here with all the layers. This is the JPEG flattened version that we just created. Just to make absolutely sure, let's just go and check the image size and resolution. You go into the image menu, go image size. So it is the exact dimensions and resolution as your Photoshop file, and it complies with the requirements of the assignment. So 8 inches height for whatever length you need to fit all the characters in your name, and then the proper resolution.